Look,
Yeah, there it is.
Food Inc.
You'll never look
I
at
know,
dinner
I
the
should
same
have had
way.
her stand in front of the Food Inc. film.
Do you want me to carry out
It's still
boxes, or are we supposed to take everything?
Yeah, because it's being picked up.
So
Here,
I'll say
you
a few
can
words.
ask-
here.
okay.
All right. This has been a fabulous event.
It's not a good lighting though.
Start again.
No, the light's not good. Okay, now.
All right. This has been a fabulous event. It was sold out with 210 seats in the theater. We actually had to turn people away. And it's a very moving film that covers so many of the major points, the political, the ideological impacts, the environmental impacts, the health impacts, the workforce impacts of what the mechanized food system is in our world today. And much of it is for me, I always highlight the fact that this is derivative of our whole mechanical worldview, of our whole mechanical orientation to nature, which I actually think is psychopathic and delusional. It needs to change on a fundamental level. But this is one of the major impacts on our food system and on our medical system, because those are the two systems that most involve life force in nature rather than what's mechanical. And so we need to change. Whether we change in small ways by making different consumer choices or in big ways by changing our whole orientation to life itself. But it's exciting to have this film come to our little tiny town here in the middle of virtually rural New York State. And we're so grateful for Farm Catskill to have for this wonderful land protection, farming protection organization that brought this to us. So that's
Products actually in the supermarket had corn syrup, and how sugar was disguised in so many different ways.
75% maybe?
It was more than that.
Really?
It was more than that, because
Wow.
you have to be educated about what different variations and deviations of corn syrup are.
I see.
It was eye-opening for me.
Wow.
And today I was in a local, farm produce store, and I went to pick up these sort of dried vegetable chips.
Okay.
Not
They had
commercially made.
maltodextrin.
Yes!
Yeah,
And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my gosh. Because, so now I
You can't eat anything. I know.
I mean, they were
Tell us
literally,
about
there was
it.
dried beans, it was dried yams and sweet potatoes.
That's
and there
right.
was, it was a preservative for the drying, and it was a form of sugar in it.
Yeah.
And so now I can't shop without
I know.
my,
Right.
dollar glasses.
Well, it's been a transition for us, but now we try to shop 100% organic because we just know more and more and more and more what's
But
in this food.
organic isn't even, I mean, we're
not,
an organic
I know.
producer. I mean, we're certified organic with our
Right.
dairy,
But
and
yeah.
I don't trust organic.
Well, you know what?
I don't
You
even trust
can't.
my certifying
But it's a big
agency.
step in the right direction.
I know.
Yeah.
But
the
when
other thing
Heinz is into organics, as they mentioned in the movie,
Right, Kellogg's.
That's right.
Kellogg's,
They're all into
it makes
organic
me real.
foods.
I mean, one of the biggest blows that I had with corporate is my favorite cosmetic company is Burt's Bees. It's owned by Clorox now.
Right.
We have a
And
chart, actually.
Yeah.
So
Ownership.
yeah,
and-
but isn't that, how would you know that unless
Yeah.
So I switched over to the Badger. Because it's still
It's a small
So it's got to
company, yeah.
be local organic, right? It's got to be sugar-free. It's got to be this.
Well, see,
it's
you
gotta
can't
be that,
eat
yeah.
processed. That's what it comes down to, because this maltodextrin, all these things are hidden with different names, They,
Or natural
Right.
sweetener or something.
yeah, natural sweetener and things
and
like that. They're all hidden in
tomatoes
there.
is a really great example.
Yeah.
You can't walk to a farmer's market even and eat a tomato because of this year's blight that hasn't been sprayed with a fungicide.
Right.
So if you go to the farmer's market and that farmer has these beautiful tomatoes sitting there, the first thing you better ask is
Is it
you don't think to
organic?
yourself, oh, isn't that wonderful? This guy's farm didn't get affected by late blight.
Right.
No, that farmer sprayed.
Right.
That's why. But we don't think to ask those questions.
Well, we
so
do.
Most of us don't.
You know what?
think
I
those
even
questions.
asked, because I do allow myself to have some honey. And if they say their honey's natural, I ask them if they give antibiotics
Right,
to their
tetracycline is what they put on
to their bees, and a lot of them do, even though they call their honey natural.
Well, they put these little pads outside the entrance to the hive in their little feet.
Well, the consumer has to be much more aggressive these days. Last year, I just got notice from the Organic Consumers Association. Organics only grew 7%, not 20%, for the first time, and it's because they've been inched out by people who are labeling things natural.
Yeah.
So we have to be more picky.
What is organic versus natural?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's why films like this are so important.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if I have a choice between organic and local, I'm always going to choose local. Because I then can have an opportunity to have a conversation with that farmer and talk to that farmer about what does he mean by what. Just because he's not organic doesn't mean that he doesn't practice organic standards. It means that he can't put on his label organic.
Right.
So I always choose local.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do that myself. I go to some of these local stands, and if they tell me they're basically not, whatever.
Yeah, it's
I will buy.
expensive to
Yes.
be certified. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of money to be certified, but yeah, and I think that farmers also have to be honest. And so establishing that kind of relationship, like where are those peaches from? It's hello June. They're from Georgia, and so when you go to the farmer's market, it should say, and it should be a rule of every farmer's market that
These are not local peaches.
right, these are Georgian peaches.
Right.
So we all have to sort of push all of our
I
farmers
usually
toward
ask,
that.
did you grow it? Where's
And
it?
most people are
Yeah.
pretty honest.
Yeah.
Well, here in Oneonta, there's a bunch of food stands, and I've asked, and usually about 70 to 80% of the produce are from within New York State, which is
Right.
heartening to see.
Right. Well, Jamaica Dream Farm goes
Jamaica,
to
right,
the
is one of
Troy
them.
Farmers Market, and one of the big, huge districts. And right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
But I'd
heartening.
like to see it written so that I don't have to ask.
Ask.
That it says,
Yeah.
because a lot of people won't ask; they'll just assume
Right.
that it
That's
says
true.
Pennsylvania peaches,
Right.
or what Anutto's does, which says homegrown,
Right.
and that means it's from the local area.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's great.
From
I
your
just
lips
don't-
to God's ears, and you got to keep visualizing this happens. Yeah.
That's the only card I have, if you want to give her a
you want a
card.
card? Yeah.
That's our card.
Thanks so
It's
much.
got my cleaning lady on the back, but I have
Do
her
you need
number.
her?
No, I have it.
Okay.
But if you could go to the website, you can check Nathan's article on genetically modified food.
Yes.
It's
Oh, I will.
it's a
Famous
book.
article, yeah.
He's had it up there for 8 or
Almost.
9 years.
At least, yeah, almost.
Oh, good. 8 or 9 years. Wow.
Yep.
Yes, it was
That's a
one.
long
Yeah.